if you only had two, so it's one of the factors that may distinguish judges in the competition to go to higher courts. Now, the subjective part, as I told you, as in any system, there are positive and negative aspects. There's no one-size-fits-all solution. So as I said, this is something that has been going on for at least a century in Portugal. So whenever you enter the career, even lawyers assume that it's normal to have the evaluation of the work of judges. So we don't question if, we question how, basically. The mere existence of a system of evaluation of merit, even if we have a lot of, if I'm inspected by one inspector and Dragan is inspected by another inspector, there's always some subjectivity, always. We can never eliminate that. It's impossible to eliminate, but it's not a problem of judges. It's in any evaluation system, in any area of society, it's like this. But the fact that there is a system of evaluation allows some differentiation between judges who are better and judges who are not that good. And judges are not different from any other professionals. Some of us are better, some of us are worse, and it's always been like that. Theoretically, this system also allows better judges to go to specialized and higher courts, which in principle could grant better quality to the decisions of those more important decision courts. The progression in the career is based also on merit and not exclusively on seniority, which I think is a good system. And also, obviously, if you have an evaluation system, there's always an incentive for judges to better perform their duties in order to get a better classification. Obviously, there are also negative aspects. The subjectivity that we were talking about sometimes leads to injustice between judges with the same merit but which are inspected by different inspectors. Like I said, and there were some changes in the regulation recently in order to avoid this, the fact that the inspections are sometimes not up to date leads to the fact that there are some injustices. As I told you, the movement is in July. If you have the chance of being inspected in March, you will already have, for instance, very good, but your colleague, which is as good as you, his inspection will only end in September, so you, in July, you will be positioned with very good, and he will be positioned still with his old classification. This leads to injustices. It's a negative aspect. In my view, a very negative aspect is that in Portugal, this is only for first instance judges. You don't have inspections for appeal court and Supreme Court justices. This is a very negative aspect in my part. Although, in recent years, although they are not inspected, there's a very high control of appeal court judges by the appeal court presidents, especially on the timeliness and the workload of their cases. So they are much more controlled in their, they're much more pressured by the court presidents to timely decide their cases. And it's a growing tendency, but I think it's not a specificity of Portugal, which is there's a growing tendency to give more relevance to the productivity of the judge instead of the juridical and technical quality of the decisions. What we were talking about a bit a while ago of you tend to look more to the statistics than to the quality. We cannot go to the opposite, which is saying I have neglected all of my cases. I've a workload, a backlog of 3 million cases, but my decisions are juridically perfect, because for the common citizen, he doesn't care if your decision is juridically perfect. He wants his case to be decided. So you have to strike a balance between the workload you have and the quality of your decisions. And that sometimes is very hard to get, especially if you have a very common sense inspector. It's good, and he will try to strike that balance. If not, it's different. But so basically, this is what I wanted to tell you about the judicial inspection system in Portugal. Sorry about the very descriptive, but I think it was necessary. And as I said, take this not as an example of a perfect system, which is far from that, but as an example of a system which has been going on for decades and subject to changes.
Možda ovaj sistem u Portugaliji nije savršen, ali jeste uzoran i vredan proučavanja. Zahvaljujem ti, Filipe, na ovako sadržajnom predavanju, da tako kažem. I sad ovako, ja ću dati reč ako hoće naše portugalske kolege nešto da dodaju, ako se ne slažu. I naravno imamo mogućnost da još malo diskutujemo, ali ja mislim da naši stomaci teško podnose dalji rad. Tako da posle ove diskusije mi ćemo, čeka nas ručak sve nas, tako da znate, upravljajte se prema tome. Izvoli, Paula. Predstavi se, molim te.
I'm a Portuguese prosecutor. I'll be fast. Just not to disagree what Philippe said, just to say something about the Portuguese system for prosecutors inspections, because there are a few differences. The merit of the decisions and legal positions undertaken by prosecutors is evaluated in our inspections, not in the judges' inspections. It's one big difference. And we don't have that limitation regarding we have an evaluation of, we don't have to have a prior evaluation of good with distinction to be given a mark of very good. That's not in our system, that's in the judges' system. And we also have the same problem with subjectivism, of course. The inspectors in our case are nominated by our Superior Council, and it's prosecutors that apply to become an inspector and are for a period of, I think, 3 years. Just to add this information.
Ja imam samo pitanje za vas. Naravno, pretpostavljam, ali voljela bi da čujem. Inspektori su sudije i inspektori, pretpostavljam, dok su inspektori, ne rade sudijski posao. Pretpostavljam. To je jedno pitanje za vas. A drugo pitanje, koje nema veze sa vrednovanjem, ali je nama zanimljivo, jer je slično, kada se biraju članovi Visokog saveta sudstva u parlamentu dvotrećinskom većinom, šta se dešava ako ta dvotrećinska većina ne bude postignuta jer dosta je visoka?
The first one is that inspectors are only inspectors. They are appointed for a 3-year period, and their position as a judge is to be an inspector. So they don't do anything else. They are just inspectors. The second question, to be honest, I don't remember once where we had a problem with appointing members in Parliament. No. So we always, basically the two main parties together always have the 2/3 majority, and they always reached an agreement, and the appointment of the members is, so the elections of the judges never coincide with the appointment of the members elected by the parliament, because whenever the parliament changes, they have to appoint their members. So there's always a continuity of the work of the council. You never have a total renovation of the council. When the judges are renovated through election, probably the members of the parliament still go on, and then when the members of the parliament have to be reappointed because there's a new parliament, the judges who have been elected have not yet ended their mandate, so there's always a continuity.
Rotation system.
And I don't recall of, in the case of the Superior Council, I don't recall a moment where there's been a problem with reaching an agreement. There was once with the ombudsman, and the previous ombudsman stayed in office for almost a year because the two main parties did not agree with the one to be appointed afterwards, but not in the case of the Superior Council. And to be honest, as it never happened, I don't know what the solution would be. Probably there is no solution and they have to reach an agreement. But in the Portuguese case, I don't think, I cannot answer you that because I don't know it.
U Crnoj Gori je bilo ovako rešenje. Oni su uveli dvotrećinsku većinu u Crnoj Gori 2012. godine, dvotrećinska većina za izbor nekih članova saveta i samo tad su izabrani dvotrećinskom većinom. Posle toga više nikad nisu mogli da budu izabrani i onda su donosili zakon kojim su obnavljali mandat onima koji su izabrani 2012. 2 puta.
In Spain, the Superior Council is blocked for many years because they don't reach an agreement in Parliament to renovate it. So, fortunately, yet, because I don't, at least yet we didn't have that problem. I don't know in the future, but at least for the time being, it's been relatively consensual.
Dobro, Irija, hoćeš da nam... Irija? Put your... Hoćeš da nam objasniš ti u Španiji šta... Ne, šta se dešava sa blokadom Visokog saveta magistrature? Ja znam da ti nisi u savetu magistrature, ti si u savetu prosekture, da kažem, ali reci.
I was talking about that with Gualtiero, so you listen to us. No, that the summary, and maybe Arcadio could add something, but the problem is we don't have government, so for the time being, there is no future in the renewal of the Council of the Judiciary, which is for 5 years right now, more or less, month, day. So they cause not only, as I said to Gualtiero, not only this constitutional political question because of the powers of the Council of the Judiciary, is that they, this government passed 2-3 years ago, I don't remember the dates, I'm very bad for dates. They passed a law according to that the Council of the Judiciary, which is not which is in standby, cannot make assignments, cannot make nominations, high nominations. So there are a lot of regional tribunals that they have a lot of vacancies. So there are a lot of judges in Spain right now that have a lot of work because they have a lot of vacancies in their units or tribunals or chambers. So it's not only for the, political, constitutional, national problem. It's also a problem in the days for the judges, well, for the citizens. And I don't think that it will be resolved in the future, in the near future.
Just to tell you, some years ago I was an expert of the Council of Europe for Moldova, and one of the things they were debating was precisely how to have an anti-deadlock mechanism in case the main parties would not reach an agreement to appoint the members of the Superior Council that should be appointed by Parliament. And to be honest, when you have children and when 2 of your children want to play with the same toy, usually the solution is telling them, either you agree among yourselves of none of you will play with that toy. And basically, when you tell that to your kids, they usually find a way of playing both with it. So, departing from this experience, the proposal that I made in the report about Moldova was, okay, you give the chance to the parties to reach the 2/3 majority, and you give them 2 or 3 opportunities to do it, but you put in the law, if after 3 attempts there's no 2/3 majority, the competence of appointing those members goes out of the parliament, and you give it to, 1 will be appointed by the ombudsman, the other would be appointed by the bar association, the other will be appointed by the presidents of the law schools. And this is a way of saying to the parties, you have 3 opportunities to reach an agreement. If you don't, it will not be you appointing those members, it will be other independent institutions.
Sad samo da vam kažem, mi smo imali sličan problem i slično razmišljanje kad smo pisali Ustav. Naš Visoki savet sudstva ima 11 članova, 6 je izbornih iz reda sudija, 1 je ex officio član, to je predsjednik Vrhovnog suda, i 4 su istaknuta pravnika koje bira parlament 2/3 većinom. I onda se postavilo pitanje kakav je anti-deadlock mehanizam, ako nema dvotrećinske većine, i mi smo u Ustavu uneli taj anti-deadlock mehanizam. Mi nismo zadovoljni sastavom, ali reč je o petočlanoj komisiji. Znači, ako se ne postigne dvotrećinska većina u Skupštini, onda imamo petočlanu komisiju koju čine predsednik parlamenta, predsednik Vrhovnog suda, predsednik Ustavnog suda, ombudsman i državni tužilac, i ta petočlana komisija onda bira te članove. Mi nismo zadovoljni sastavom, ali eto, napravili smo nešto slično tome što si ti predlagao. Hoće kolega iz Španije da kaže nešto.
Madame Molima, could we eat?
Ako ste saglasni, mi možemo sad na ručak. Onda ja da zaključim ovu konferenciju, da vam zahvalim svima. Ja znam da vi na zapadu jedete mnogo ranije, mi malo kasnije, ali evo sad ćemo se barem poslužiti. Izvolite.